Hello class, this is the first video on surface area. So what is surface area? So keep in mind we're thinking about three-dimensional figures, and the surface area of a three-dimensional figure is really just the sum of the areas of the nets. So let's suppose that I have the following prism. It's a rectangular prism. And I want to know, how do I find the surface area of this thing? Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to unfold this thing. And it's going to come apart into 6 different sections because we have 6 different faces on this. And then we're going to copy down the dimensions of each piece of this, so that I can use these pieces to find the area of each one of these faces of my figure. So for the first part here, I just take, since this piece here is 8, I know that because here it's 8, and these are, when it's unfolded, this is the same thing, and then the height is 10. To find the area of any rectangle or any quadrilateral, I just multiply the length times the height, and then so 8 times 10, that gives me this 80 right here. Then for this piece, I know it's 2 wide and 10 high, so 10 times 2 is 20, and then we get the third piece is 80, the fourth piece is 20, the fifth piece, 2 times 8, that's 16, and then the last piece is also 16. I add those all up and I get 232 for the surface area. Now you might be thinking to yourself, is there an easier way to do this instead of having to unfold it and find all these pieces of areas? And actually there's a formula that we can use for prisms. And what we're going to do first now is we're going to find what's called the lateral area. Essentially the lateral area is the area all the way around all 4 sides of these rectangular prisms, and it excludes the top and bottom. So to find the lateral area, I take the perimeter of the base and I multiply that by the height. That might be a little simpler. So for the prism above, for this guy up here, my perimeter is 2 plus 2 plus 8 plus 8, which is 20. And then I take this 20 and I multiply it by the height, which is 10. So 10 times 20, that's 200. Now I'm going to want to get the surface area by using this lateral area and multiplying it by double, or adding it to double the base. So I take the 200, find the area of my base, which is 8 times 2, which is 16, multiply that by 2, that's 32. 200 plus 32 is 232. And you can see that we got the same exact answer as we did when we added the pieces from the net. So that's a little bit less calculation, I think, to find the surface area of the rectangular prism. This process works for any kind of figure with a top and bottom. So let's do a few more examples with this. So let's look at a cube. So a cube is basically a rectangular prism, but we know with the cube all of the sides, all of the lengths are exactly the same. So then when I get the perimeter of the base, it's basically 4 times 2, 4 sides times 2, and that gives me 8. I can see my height here is 2, so 2 times 8 equals 16. And then I know my area for a square is basically one of the sides squared, or again, side or length times height. So 2 times 2 is 4. Then I get the 16 from the lateral area, plus 2 times the area of the base, and that's 24. Let's look at a triangular prism. These are all very similar. The only thing that's really changing is my bases. This was a square here, this one is a triangle. So my perimeter of my triangle, I know that each side here is 6. So 6 plus 6, and then the bottom is 2. That's 14. I can see my height here is 2. So to find my lateral area, I multiply the 2 times the 14 and get 28. Now I have to find the area of my base, or the area of the triangle, which is 1/2 of the base times the height. And by base, I mean just the bottom of the triangle, not the base of the 3-dimensional figure. So it's 1/2 times 2 times 4, which is 4. Then I take my surface area, or find my surface area, take the lateral area, and I add 2 times the area of the base, and I get 36. So that's how I find the area of my triangular prism. And although we don't always typically think of it this way, a cylinder is really a prism that just has a circular base. So I can use this, what I've been doing, for a cylinder as well. But instead of calling it the perimeter of the base, since it's a circle, it's circumference. Perimeter and circumference are basically the same thing. We just call them different things. So the circumference of the base is 2 pi r, or 2 pi times the radius, 2 pi times 3/4. We can see the 3/4 there. So I get 3/2 pi. The height I can see is 3, so I multiply those together for my lateral area and get 9/2 pi. Now I need to find the area of my base. So my base is a circle, so I do pi r squared, or pi times the radius squared, and the radius again is 3/4, so I get 9/16 pi. Then I add my lateral area to 2 times the area of the base. So I get the 9/2 pi plus 9/8 pi. Actually, it was 18/16, and then I reduced that to get the 9/8. Now I find my common denominator, which is 8, so that I can add these fractions together, and I get 45/8 pi as my surface area. That's basically it for this first part. So stay tuned for the second part, and I'll see you in class.